Here's part 5 of your long English documentary script. Clapperboard, How Rome Conquered Greece, a Roman History Documentary. Part 5, The Legacy of Conquest, How Greece Transformed the Roman World. This section, approximately 2,500 words, explores how Greece reshaped Rome from within, through philosophy, art, science, and ideas that would echo across history. Clapperboard Part 5, The Legacy of Conquest, How Greece Transformed the Roman World. Opening scene. Soft orchestral strings fade in. The camera glides over the marble temples of Rome, columns rising into a golden dawn. Greek statues stand proudly among Roman triumphal arches. Narrator. Rome had conquered Greece. But in spirit, Greece conquered Rome. In the centuries that followed the sack of Corinth, the ideas, art, and philosophy of Greece would flow deep into the veins of the Roman Empire. What began as military conquest became cultural rebirth, a merging of two worlds that would define Western civilization for millennia. This is the story of how Greece, though fallen, rose again, inside the heart of Rome itself. Scene 1, From Conqueror to Student. After the wars were over, the Roman elite turned their gaze eastward, not toward battlefields, but toward books, statues, and schools. Greek tutors became prized possessions of every noble family. They taught Roman children to read Homer, to recite Plato, and to question the nature of virtue and truth. For centuries, Greek had been the language of wisdom. Now it became the second language of Rome. Senators quoted Greek philosophers in speeches. Generals carried Greek manuscripts on their campaigns. Even the most powerful men in Rome, men who ruled legions and provinces, sought guidance from Greek philosophy. To be educated in Rome now meant to be Greek in spirit. Scene 2, The Rise of Roman Philosophy. Greek philosophy took deep root in Roman soil. Three great schools shaped Roman thought: Stoicism, Epicureanism, and Skepticism. Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium, taught self-control, duty, and the acceptance of fate. It resonated deeply with Roman values of discipline and service. The Stoic idea that true freedom lies in mastering one's desires became a guiding principle for Roman leaders. Epicureanism, by contrast, preached the pursuit of peace through moderation, not indulgence but tranquility. It appealed to those weary of politics and war. Skepticism, inherited from the Academy of Plato, urged doubt and questioning, a habit that sharpened Roman intellect. Philosophy was no longer the pursuit of idle thinkers, it became a way of life. It taught Romans how to face victory and defeat, wealth and poverty, life and death, with calm dignity. Among its greatest students would be emperors themselves. Scene 3, The Age of Cicero. In the 1st century BCE, one man embodied the fusion of Greek intellect and Roman virtue, Marcus Tullius Cicero. Born to a modest family, Cicero rose through the ranks not by the sword, but by the power of his words. Educated by Greek philosophers, he brought the language of Athens into the Senate of Rome. Cicero's writings and speeches shaped Latin itself, giving it elegance, rhythm, and reason. He believed that philosophy was not a retreat from politics but its highest form. In his letters, he wrote, "Greater than philosophy is the mother of all the arts. It is she who has taught us justice, order, and law." Cicero's Rome was a world collapsing into civil war, torn between Caesar and Pompey, republic and empire. In that chaos, Greek reason became his anchor. Even as the republic fell, Cicero's words ensured that Greek ideals of virtue and liberty would live on in Roman memory. Scene 4, Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great. Every conqueror has a model, and for Rome's greatest general, that model was Greek. Julius Caesar admired Alexander the Great above all men. At the age of 30, when Caesar saw a statue of Alexander, he wept, realizing that at the same age, Alexander had conquered the world. Caesar's campaigns in Gaul, his ambition, and even his vision of empire all echoed the legacy of Alexander. Like the Macedonian king, Caesar sought not only to rule but to reshape the world. Through him, the Greek dream of empire, a unified world guided by reason and order, found new life under Roman banners. Scene 5, The Augustan Golden Age. After Caesar's death came the rise of Octavian Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Under his rule, the fusion of Greek and Roman culture reached its height. Augustus rebuilt Rome from brick to marble, borrowing Greek designs for his temples, theaters, and forums. He filled the city with statues of gods and heroes inspired by Greek art. He patronized poets like Virgil, Horace, and Ovid, who blended Roman pride with Greek style. Virgil's Aeneid was written as Rome's answer to Homer's Iliad, a new epic for a new empire. In it, the hero Aeneas embodied both Greek wisdom and Roman duty. The result was a civilization that stood on two pillars, Roman strength and Greek brilliance. Scene 6, the Roman mind becomes Greek. As the empire expanded, Greek culture spread deeper into Roman life. In libraries, Greek scrolls outnumbered Latin ones. In cities from Spain to Syria, Greek was the language of science, medicine, and philosophy. Theaters performed Greek plays, temples honored gods with Greek names. Even the Roman gods themselves transformed. Jupiter became the reflection of Zeus, Venus of Aphrodite, Mars of Ares. The myths of Olympus became the myths of Rome. The Roman calendar, festivals, and artistic ideals all absorbed Greek influence. Rome had given the world law and power, but Greece gave it beauty and meaning. Scene 7, the philosophers of the empire. As centuries passed, Greek philosophy continued to shape the Roman world. In the 1st century CE, Seneca, tutor to Emperor Nero, wrote Stoic essays that became moral guides for generations. He preached patience, wisdom, and restraint, virtues sorely needed in a world of imperial excess. In the 2nd century, the philosopher King Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire guided by Stoicism. In his private journal, known today as Meditations, he wrote, "Greater than, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His writings were pure Greek philosophy in Roman form, practical, noble, eternal. Under emperors like Marcus, Greece's intellectual spirit reached the throne of the world. Scene 8, science and knowledge. Greek science also transformed Roman understanding. The works of Aristarchus, Archimedes, Hippocrates, and Euclid became the foundation of Roman education. Roman engineers built aqueducts and roads inspired by Greek geometry. Greek medicine guided Roman doctors, the name, Hippocrates, still honored as the father of healing. Astronomy, physics, and mathematics were taught in Greek across the empire. Even the great Roman architect Vitruvius admitted that every principle of design and proportion came from Greek thought. In learning and in logic, Greece remained the master. Scene 9, the arts and the gods. Roman art was Greek art reborn. From sculpture to theater, Greek forms became the Roman standard. Greek artists carved statues of emperors, philosophers, and gods with lifelike perfection. Theaters across the empire echoed with the words of Greek tragedies and comedies, Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes. The Olympic spirit also lived on in Roman games and festivals, though often twisted toward spectacle. Even as the Romans built their Grand Colosseum, its roots lay in Greek athletic traditions. Greek religion, too, merged with Roman belief. Temples to Apollo, Athena, and Dionysus stood beside shrines to Jupiter and Mars. Rome's own myths were rewritten in Greek style, turning history into legend and legend into eternity. Scene 10, the legacy that endured. By the 2nd century CE, the union of Rome and Greece had created a single cultural world, the Greco-Roman civilization. Greek remained the language of the Eastern Empire, Latin of the West. Together, they formed the twin foundations of Europe's future. When Rome eventually fell, Greek learning did not die. It lived on in Byzantium, the Eastern Roman Empire, where Greek art, literature, and science continued to flourish for another 1,000 years. And when the Renaissance came in Europe, it was the rediscovery of Greek wisdom, preserved by Rome and Byzantium, that rekindled human creativity. Thus, the story of how Rome conquered Greece is not a tale of destruction, but of transformation. The sword conquered the body, but the mind conquered the sword. Rome gave Greece power and peace. Greece gave Rome vision and soul. Together, they built the foundation of the modern world: law, reason, philosophy, and art, a legacy that still shapes us today. Closing scene, Part 5 ends. Soft music swells as the camera pans from the Roman Forum to the Parthenon, bathed in eternal light. Narrator. Empires rise and fall, but ideas endure. Rome may have ruled the world, but Greece taught it how to think, to build, and to dream. The story of Rome and Greece is not one of conquest. It is the story of civilization itself. Fade to black. End titles appear. Greater than, The End, a documentary by your channel name. Would you like me to write Part 6, The Eternal Echo, Greece, Rome, and the modern world, the final part, showing how their legacy shaped the Renaissance, democracy, and modern philosophy.